our next speaker up is, she's already on the screen here, Sally. Sally is, first of all, I'm going to introduce her as the creative director of Action Takers Publishing. And when I first started doing publishing of books, I started off as Women Action Takers Publishing, and then we changed it to Action Takers Publishing because we realized there are a lot of men out there too, who have stories to share, and we wanted to be able to bring them into our books as well. So it's Action Takers Publishing. But in August, we had the Fearless Entrepreneurs book was being released, and Sally is in the Fearless Entrepreneurs, and one of the authors in that. And when we went through the process, it was me, myself, and I. That's who I had. That was my team, right? Me, myself, and I. I had my VA who did some things on the background, but she wasn't involved with the launch because I just didn't utilize her for that at that time. So here I was launching the book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs, doing all the work, making sure everything was running smoothly. The book launches, and within 8 hours, it became international in 3 different countries, international bestseller, #1 bestseller in 6 different categories. And it was so exciting, a lot of fun. And then time kept on going by. But 2 weeks later, we were going to be releasing our next book, Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore, which Sally also shares her story in that book. So as we're going through with that, I happened to look online to see where Invincible Forevermore was in the rankings, and I saw that we were at like number 146. Now, to be a bestseller, it's 100 or better. And so we were so close to being a bestseller. So I reached out to all the authors in that book, and I said, hey, we can either wait till our launch date, which is in however many days it was. I don't remember. It was in 6 more days, or we can go for it right now. And it was cool because hands down, everybody was like, let's go. Fortunately, we were ready. Like behind the scenes, I was ready to rock and roll. I was just waiting for the 2-week period of time. So we started pushing everything out there. We did launch day interviews. We had all this marketing going on. It was so fabulous. Within 5 hours, we hit international in 3 different countries and #1 in 6 different categories. Under 5 hours, we did that. And that book remained a #1 bestseller for 8 days. I was so excited that, here we are doing something that I absolutely love, and I'm pretty damn good at it. And so as we were going through this process, Sally was like, do you want some help? And I was like, yes, please. Can you do this? Can you do that kind of thing? And so Sally came in and just started helping me behind the scenes. As I mentioned at the beginning of the summit, is that we don't have to do it alone. We really choose to do it alone. There are people out there who want to support us, but we haven't asked for help, or maybe they aren't sure how to ask if you need help. I was fortunate that Sally said, would you like some help? And here she was. So with Sally's help, we are now that we have this goal this year to launch 25 books. And I know that because I have Sally at my side, she's helping, like we're equals in this. We're making it happen because we are both so driven. I have the systems in place. I already had that, right? So now it's just a matter of tweaking them, fine-tuning them so that they work for a team. So now it's me, Sally, and Belle is on our team. And so between the 3 of us, we're going to make this happen. Okay, so that's not my introduction to Sally, but Sally. Yeah, so I met Sally through a collaboration book. A lot of people that I meet are through these different collaboration books because I truly, truly believe in them. I was in another collaboration books. I've been in several of them, and I'm currently in another one that's going on. And so I was in this collaboration book, and then Sally and I ended up connecting through that somehow and just got to know her really well. And I love her story. She talks about self-care. She's known as the Self-Care Rockstar, and she's going to share her story as to why she's known as that, as well as talking about some of the different things that we can do in our lives to become our own self-care rock star. Sally, you got the stage. It's all you.
Thank you so much.
Did I highlight the wrong person? Yes. Hold on a second. I highlighted myself. And okay, let me remove myself. And
there you go.
Sally, it's all yours.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm just so excited about this summit because these group of women are just so special. I got to meet most of them through this book. Some of them I knew beforehand, but most of them I didn't. And so that's the great thing about being part of these collaboration books, are the relationships that you make with the other authors, and then going forward. So I am now known as the Self-Care Rockstar, but it wasn't always that way. During the COVID lockdown, when the world stopped, my business dried up, and so we weren't able to go out and work. And I remember that day in March, I looked in the mirror, and I just looked in the mirror and I said, "What have you done to yourself?" I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I was really, really good at taking care of my business. I was really good at taking care of my family and everybody else, but I had dropped the ball on taking care of me. And so I made a decision. It was that moment. I said, you know what? This is it. I need to do something, because, my mother had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I was just at a point in my life where I was like, I don't want all of this to happen to me. I need to do something drastic. And so my daughter was here at the time, and my husband, and we went through the pantry and we threw out all the snacks, and we went for a walk, and we talked about, all right, what are we going to do differently? So my daughter and I came home and we started searching the internet and found some recipes, and we made a shopping list, and we went shopping and we bought healthy things, I think, for the first time in years. I was so used to just in the morning, just getting up and grabbing a cup of coffee and out the door, and I wasn't eating. I didn't eat until lunchtime, and even then I'd be in transit, and so it would be stop at the store and grab a Snickers bar and a bag of potato chips and a soda, and that would be my lunch, or stop at McDonald's and pick up a Big Mac and a Coke, and it was I just didn't have the time, or so I thought. I didn't have the time to take care of me. Who am I? And, I thought self-care was selfish. I'm going to take care of me. And what about my family? What about my friends? What about my business? I can't take care of me. I don't have time to do any of that stuff. I need to concentrate on other things. And so it had become this vicious cycle. And when COVID hit and everything stopped, that was my time to reflect and say, all right, what needs to change, and how do I change it? How do I do this going forward? And so I started with eating better, and doing that kind of stuff. And then we started walking regularly, and I started meditating more. And so it just became something that I just really felt that needed to be done at that time. And it was funny because right about that time, I think it was probably June or July, I was online, and I saw a friend of mine who had been on Facebook, and she was talking about a book that she was putting together, a collaboration book, and I had no idea what a collaboration book was. And she said, all you have to do is write one chapter in the book, and we'll put the book together for you, and you don't have to do anything else, and you get to be in a published author. And I was like, wow, I've always wanted to be a published author. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm doing all this. I'm taking care of myself finally. I'm doing things. I'm going to invest that money in myself, and I'm going to write a chapter in this book. It was the best money I ever spent in my life, because that's where I started meeting all these amazing people. I got in these rooms, and Linda talked earlier about, the imposter syndrome and how she felt she wasn't worthy. And here I am, I'm writing a book about being an entrepreneur. I mean, I don't owned a business for 20 something years, but it was just me. It wasn't anybody else. It was me. You know, I had a house cleaning business. I was out there cleaning houses. You know, who was I to write a book, you know, this unknown housewife, mother in Connecticut that nobody knows of. You know, I had at the time, I think, you know, 500 friends on Facebook and family. And, you know, nobody's going to know me. Nobody's going to want to hear or talk to me. But I wrote this little, you know, chapter in this book, and I put it out there, and I started hanging around with all these amazing people, and Linda was in that book with me. And I started showing up I was like, you know what, these people are amazing. I had never met people like this in my life, you know? So, you know, these people were uplifting, they were positive. You know, I come from a small community, my family and friends, and that was all I knew for years. And I didn't know how to break out of it. I didn't know how to get out and meet other people. And it was through that book that did it for me. So it was, you know, taking that first step and saying, you know what, I'm going to take care of me, and then doing something outside of my comfort zone that created these opportunities that it just catapulted me and got me into these connections with all these other people that I call it my journey, my self-care journey. And it's been amazing these last 2 years of all the things that have happened and all of the things that have gone on. And, you know, you look at society, and society will tell you, all right, you know, in order to be successful and happy, you've got to have the newest car, you got to have a nice house, you've got to be in a relationship with someone, you need to have all of these, you know, these outside forces all in line, and then once you get all that, you'll be happy. And you know what, that's not true, because the self-care and and your success starts on the inside. So I want you to imagine for a minute that you're in your house and it's nighttime and all the lights go out and it's pitch black and you drop your keys. And so you go searching around the room for your keys and you can't find them anywhere because you can't see. And you get up and you look outside and you notice that outside the street light is on and it's shining down in out on the street, and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go look for my keys out there because there's light out there and I can see better. So you go outside and you start looking around under the street light for your keys, and your neighbor comes over and says, what are you doing? And you say, oh, I'm looking for my keys. He says, oh, great, come on, I'll help you. And he starts helping you look for your keys. And he says, well, where did you lose them? I lost them inside the house. Well, what are you looking out here for? You know, when we're lost, when we're broken inside, looking outside for the solution is just silly. It doesn't make sense. All of our things need to start inside and work itself out. So I'm just going to go through just a few little self-care tips that are going to help you work yourself from the inside out. Now, the first one is your nutrition, the things that you eat. And Sherry touched a little bit on this earlier, you know, that whole garbage in, garbage out. If you're eating the McDonald's, if you're stopping for the Snickers and the potato chips and the sodas for your lunch, that's not going to give you the energy and the fuel that you need to keep going in your day. And you're going to wind up one day looking in the mirror and like I was and saying, what did I do to myself? So, you know, finding those recipes, eating healthier is just so important. And Sherry touched too on the importance of water and staying hydrated. The other thing is exercising. and getting out there. I think about my parents. My mom now has Alzheimer's, and my dad today, he's got COVID and he was in the hospital, and he just came home from the hospital today. And though the thing is, through their whole lives, they never took care of themselves. It was always family. It was always, all right, we got to take care of everything. So my parents never exercised growing up. They never, it was funny when my brother started dating his girlfriend, his wife, who was his girlfriend at the time. Her parents were like really into athletic and walking and exercising. And that Christmas he went out and he bought my parents tennis rackets. Now my parents had no idea how to play tennis, had never even been out for a walk, had never done any kind of physical exercises or anything. And, he was like, oh, guys can go play tennis with Lisa's parents. And my parents were like, absolutely not, But, we grew up in a house and exercise wasn't a thing that anybody did. And I didn't, and it was something that I had to teach myself. It was something that I had to learn. So it's really important. And that's, and even as Sherry talked about, that's what's going to affect your brain. Learning something new, getting a hobby, keeping your brain active, the little puzzles and whatever it is that you enjoy doing, take a class, take a course, write. So yeah, that's really key to developing yourself from the inside out, and then connecting with positive people, and walking away from those toxic relationships. And we have people in our lives, and we all have them, who are complainers, who, when you're with them, you get home later on and you're exhausted, because their energy just kind of brings you down. And a lot of times it could be friends or family members, and you feel guilty, right? You feel guilty for not hanging out with them or not connecting with them regularly. But if they're energy drainers, you need to cut those relationships, and you need to find people in your lives who are going to be uplifting and positive in your life. One of the things that I did during COVID, because the news was just so like crazy constant and made me nuts, I had to shut the TV off. And I didn't miss it. I stopped watching. First of all, I stopped watching all news, and I was still watching my regular sitcoms and stuff. And then finally, somewhere during COVID, I stopped watching TV altogether, and I don't even turn my TV on anymore. Because at night, when I come home and when I'm doing stuff, I'm on my computer, and I'm, now I'm working with Linda, and we're doing all this amazing stuff. So my time is spent doing that, and I'll put on some uplifting music and dance around and work with that, instead of sitting and watching a movie or a sitcom on TV. So stepping away from social media, stepping away from the news, stepping away from, and that's what's going to give you the extra time that you're going to need to begin to take care of yourself. And Sherry touched a little bit on the importance of sleep and in power naps. I mean, I discovered those during COVID. Oh my gosh, I could lay down at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 3, take a quick little nap, and I could go till midnight. I found I had so much energy after I wake up a little groggy, but I'd start doing stuff, and I had so much energy, I could go an extra. And so I was like, wow, you know what? I never had energy before in the afternoon. So, taking those quick little power naps, going for a walk in the afternoon, coming home and laying down for half an hour, 45 minutes. I mean, if I know people with kids can't do that, but if you can find some time when they take a nap to lay down for 15, 20 minutes, it's so important for you to be able to then start working and start succeeding and going forward and doing a lot more. So I wanted to end with I think I'm almost done. Do I have more time, or am I?
You got
I'm going
20
to end
minutes.
with, oh,
You
do
got
I?
20
All
more
right.
minutes. Yeah. Go on.
All right. All right, well, then I'll just go on. It's important to add self-care to your calendar, and actually taking that time to take care of you. I don't know if you're like me, but I was never one to take care of myself. And so that was a kind of a foreign idea. And so this whole self-care rock star thing came out of a dream. And it was one of those 3 a.m. things. Linda and I talk about that often, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, I got an idea. And a lot of times now I'll text Linda at 3 a.m. I'll say, I have an idea, just leave it and wait for her to come back and say, okay, what now? But it was one of those 3 a.m. ideas. And I said, you know what? Somebody had called me a rock star that afternoon because I was in a networking event, and I was talking about how I had, changed all these little habits over a period of time. And, I kept finding all these different opportunities that just kept coming to me. And I said, I was telling them about it, and they said, you're a rock star. And I was like, yeah, I guess I am, So I was putting together a program where I was trying to help other women to do what I had done. And I was like, I can teach this stuff. I've always been a teacher at heart. I was a Sunday school teacher for over 30 years. And so, and I taught women's Bible studies and things like that. So I said, you know what, let me put together a program where I'm going to teach women self-care. And so I started putting that together, and that was kind of my COVID project. And I started doing little self-care YouTube videos and getting people to come and having speakers come in and talk about, different ways that they take care of themselves. And so that kind of just evolved over a period of time. And it's, it was just a way for me to give back, to say, what, all right, I'm going to work on this. And, I've had quite a few people that I've been helping and doing as part of that. And so, I want to encourage you to add self-care to your calendar, to make it a priority, to begin taking care of you. And not to go more than 2 days. The thing is, life happens. Your parents get sick. Your kids need you to do something, or things just happen, and we get stuck in these barriers and things that we can't control. And so, as much as we want to eat healthy that day, sometimes it's, you just got to grab something because you're out. And so you don't always have the time to take care of yourself. But I want to encourage you to not go more than 2 days in a row without taking these steps and doing something good for yourself, and start working on yourself from the inside out. Yeah. And the thing is, if you don't change the way that you're doing things, the things that are happening to you, the things that you're doing aren't going to change. You're going to be stuck where you are. The only way to move forward, the only way to change, is to change these little habits. And it doesn't have to be drastic. It doesn't have to be, all right, I'm going to start eating healthier and doing meditating and walking and I'm going to start doing it right now. It doesn't have to be all of that right away. It's, little tiny habits over a period of 6, 8, 10 months is going to make a big change in your life. There's a story about 2 hunters, and they decide that they're going to go elk hunting in the Great White North. And so they rent a helicopter to bring them there. And they get the pilot, and the pilot drops them off. and they go hunting, and they both bag 2 elk, and they drag them over to the place where the helicopter is coming to pick them up, and the pilot comes to get them, and he looks at the 2 animals and he says, you know what, it's just going to be too much weight on this helicopter. You cannot bring all of them into the helicopter with us. And the 2 hunters start complaining, and they're arguing with them and saying, no, listen, the last time we were hunting, we had the same thing. We had 4 of them. We were able to bring them in. The pilot let us in. And he said, so the pilot was like, all right, give it a try. So they bring all the 4 elk into the thing and into the helicopter. They all climb in, and the pilot takes off and starts gliding over the mountain. They get onto the other side, and all of a sudden the helicopter starts spiraling and spinning and sputtering, and it crashes into a field down below. And the 3 guys are looking around, and they crawl out of the rubble, and the pilot gets up and he looks and he says, "Dude, anybody know where we are?" And the 2 hunters look around and said, "Oh yeah, this is the same place we crashed last time." So the thing is, if you want to change your outcome, you need to change your approach. Okay, don't keep doing the same thing. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about my laser coaching program that I have. I would love to work with you guys and help you achieve your success, help you get started and continue your self-care journey on your quest for health. If you want to be successful, if you want to be productive, it's important to have a coach along the way to help you. A lot of times you cannot do it on your own. I hired Linda as my coach back in the beginning of the year to help me with my businesses, and it's just really important to have someone there to say, all right, what are you working on now? What can I help you with? What's next? And doing that. So that's my passion. My passion is helping women in the self-care field. My passion is writing. I mean, I love working with Linda and doing this. The Action Takers Publishing has been a godsend, and it's just so much fun working with her and being part of this. But if you're interested in continuing and starting your self-care journey, please connect with me. You can go to findsally.com. and that will give you my link tree, and it has all of my connections and all the stuff I'm working on. I keep that updated, and that's all ways to connect with me. And I'm also offering a free laser coaching session to everybody watching. It's part of the free gifts. And if you upgrade to VIP, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm giving a free 30-day laser coaching session to you. So, we want to get our charity is Dress for Success, and we want to get them some money from this summit. So 100% of the monies from the VIP tickets go to Dress for Success. So I encourage you guys to upgrade when you get to the free gift page. There's a place there for you to upgrade to the VIP and come work with me for a month and see how you like it. I would love to have that happen. So does anyone have any questions?
If you have any questions, go ahead and raise your little digital hand there. Or if you have any comments, what are some of the takeaways that you had from Sally's talk? And, for me, making a decision is so important. And that decision goes with everything, not just the self-care, right? It goes with everything. Once we make a decision, then we got to take action. We got to take action to make it happen. So you mentioned decide, showing up, looking for on the inside for your keys instead of looking outside for the keys. You dropped your keys in the house. And then adding self-care to your time blocking. I saw how Shanna put in the chat there, I'm going to start, blocking exercise time, because again, that is part of your time, right? Your, things that you're spending your time on. And it's important to block that out so you maybe don't forget, but also so that you are thinking about yourself and that self-care, because you did mention, Sally, that self-care wasn't something that you had been accustomed to, that you had taken care of everybody else, but you hadn't been taking care of yourself. So how many of us are doing that, or have done that at some point in our lives, where we really spend our focused time on other people? I know myself, as I grew up as a people pleaser, and just that right alone was like, I was looking always at other people for how can I do something that will make them happy? How can I do something so that they don't hate me? That was one part of my driving, was to make sure that I was liked. And so my actions were based on that result that I wanted. So like you mentioned, self-care is, you thought it was selfish. So why don't you share with us, that mindset shift that you made to go from thinking of self-care as something that's selfish to realizing that self-care is necessary?
Yeah, it's funny because I probably, I thought it was selfish for a long time. Even while I was doing it, I thought it was selfish. And it wasn't until I started talking to more people that my mind started shifting. But that was kind of ingrained in me, I think, from my mother. I mean, my mother was very selfless. I mean, just totally selfless. It was everything for her was her family. Totally. I mean, she was the oldest of 9, and she was the one who took care of everybody. And then, she had 5 of us. So it was, her whole life was taking care of everybody else. And she took that very seriously, and to the detriment of her own health. And she would see, right now she's, because she's got Alzheimer's, and but she never took care of herself. And so I think that was ingrained in me, especially being, I was the only girl, I was the oldest. You're supposed to be the one now to take care of everybody. It was kind of like handed down to me. And I'm like, you know what? No, it's not. I don't need to do this. I don't need to continue this pattern. And that realization has only been pretty recent. But yeah, I mean, it's that mindset shift it's hard, especially when it's something that's been ingrained in your brain for years and years. So it's something that I'm still working on.
What would you say was the first thing you did that to get on that path of again, you're realizing that self-care is necessary? Because it really is a necessary part of our lives. And I think, like my husband, he's a great example of that person who has always taken care of himself first, and then given his overflow to others. He's a great example of that. He's been doing that since he was about, I think, 15 years old when he started working out. He's now 76. He looks amazing. He's always taking care of himself first. And his grandfather, he heard his grandfather talking to somebody one day, and they said, my grandson, he's the most selfish person I've ever met, because he took care of himself. It's like you said, it's like a lot of times we hear these kinds of phrases that they're really detrimental to us in our belief systems. But what can we do? Like, what was your first step that you took to start to move into that place of self-care? Because you said you're still on the journey, you're still working on it. What was that first step? What would you say, if you can remember what that was?
Well, the very first thing was watching what I was eating. It was, creating those recipes with my daughter and saying, all right, you know what, we're going to start eating healthier. But I would say, like, the first thing that I did that, like, I was was really out of my comfort zone, was probably being part of the collaboration book and putting the money out for it. Because it wasn't just that I was I felt like, the money was supposed to go to the family. The money isn't supposed to go to me. So when spending that money on myself was really out of my comfort zone, and I was like, wow, you know what? I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but it was the best decision I ever made. So, yeah. I would say, and then I did it again in January. Then I did it again with you. So I'm just like, because I got addicting. But yeah.
A good kind of addicting.
Yes. But it's that that saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to sign up and I'm going to do this and I'm going to put out money that I don't really have, but it's going to make my future better.
Yeah. And that's an interesting shift right there, right? Because we have money mindset issues. I mean, there's so many different mindset types. Like you could put them into little buckets, I guess. And, there's so many different types, but the money mindset issue, oftentimes it comes from, things people said to us. And then, you yourself, you had this belief. It was a belief that the money all goes back to the family. And now you've said, you know what, I'm going to do something out of my comfort zone. And that is to invest in something for me. Because oftentimes we talk about, investing in yourselves is like going to get that massage, right? Shanna does massages, right? So it's like going to get that massage, or it's going to the beach by yourself, or it's, splurging on a new dress, or it's, things like that. But there's also this mindset stuff that is really helpful. And so for you, as far as, being in the book, we didn't plan this, by the way. We haven't planned anything for today except the schedule. But, for you, I'd love to hear your perspective, because I know what being in the first collaboration book that I was in, I know what that did for me. It opened the floodgates, like you're mentioning. Mm-hmm. But I would love to, from your perspective, what mindset shift happened when you said yes to you for that first time?
Yeah. I chose an amazing book to be my first one. Because it went number one, and there were 150 authors in there, and
what was the name of it? It's called One Habit
for Entrepreneurial Success.
Yeah.
There were 150 other authors in there, and we would have these, this was during COVID. So we were all stuck home, and we would have these amazing Zoom meetings, and there'd be 90 or 100 of us on this Zoom call. And I'd be, saying, oh, she looks cute, I'm going to message her. She said something, I'm going to message her. And I'd be messaging people on the side. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm sitting in Connecticut here, and I'm like, all right. And so I got to be friends with some of these amazing people. I've never met them in real. I've never met Linda in real life. I mean, half of these people, actually, I don't think anybody I've met in these whole 2 years. I know Rami, but that I've actually physically met, seen from the waist down. Nobody. So it's just like, but it's been. These are crazy times we're living in. This is just like Looney Tunes when you think about it. And here I am, business partnering with Linda, and we've never even met in real life. I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm having a blast, and I'm having just so much fun. And it's just, all right, let's just keep going and see where God is leading me. I have no idea where I'm doing half the time. So.
And I love it. Dr. Kim, she says, I think that's how I met you too, Sally, from the waist up. That's true. Like, I think probably most of us have met each other from the waist up, like, I don't know about you, but I'm wearing jeans and tennis shoes right now. If I was at a live conference, I'd probably be wearing something I wouldn't be as comfortable in, Right. Yeah. So, but I love that. It's so true, because when we raise our hand and we say, it's my turn, we raise our hand and we say, I'm ready, I'm ready to take that next step, whatever that next step is for us. And it's sometimes we can, maybe in our minds, we think it is a selfish thing, but in the reality is this is how we are able to give to others more. Is Les Brown says it all the time. He says, fill up your own cup first and give to others what's overflowing. And that overflow, we have a lot more overflow when we're taking care of ourselves first, right? The proverbial put your gas mask on first, or whatever, the mask in the plain, put it on you first and then give to others. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with our self-care, with your health, with the eating out. And, Sally, do you ever go to McDonald's now, or do you just like stay away from it?
I haven't been in probably since before COVID at all. And that was our like, we'd go
like get our go-to
our Friday nights, we'd go down and get the fish fillets, for our Friday night fish sandwiches. But yeah, we haven't done that in years, but but another thing I wanted to just touch on quickly, if I can, is, we talked to Linda. One of the things that I did during this time was offering my services up to people and friends that I made during that time. I would, they would have, because I'm pretty techie. I love the tech stuff. And I would meet someone in one of these Zoom rooms, or even like when we were doing the big things, and they would say, oh, I'm having a challenge with doing this. And I just reach out to them on the side and say, hey, you know what? I know how to do that. Why don't you connect with me and we can hop on a Zoom and I can show you how to do that, So when Linda, I was talking to Linda and she was doing these books, it was nothing for me to say, you know what, you look a little stressed. Can I help you out? And I wasn't looking for anything from her because she was my friend and I met her and I liked her and I was just offering to help because that's kind of what I was doing throughout this whole process. But I didn't do it to say, oh yeah, you know what, I'm just going to do this because, I want to work with her. Although I did, but it wasn't the reason that I raised my hand and said I would help her. So, I mean, you never know who you're going to meet, but always be kind, always be nice, and always offer a helping hand. So.
I love that, Sally. Thank you so much. Thanks for being in my life and for reaching out and saying, you look stressed. You need some help. I was like, I do, but I really appreciate you, everything you do. And, the Self-Care Rockstar, it really does fit for you. People started calling you that and it's real. But Sally, go ahead and drop your contact information in the chat for everybody. And then also she mentioned her free gift, and you can go ahead and click on that link. I put it in there. If you guys haven't gone and redeemed your free gifts yet, go click on that link. Those will be available. To you. And as far as the emails that we're sending out, when we send those emails out, the link is in there as well. And we're making these replays available forever. So one of the things that bothers me about attending a lot of events is that they use the hype of get in now or you're never gonna, or forever hold your peace kind of thing. You'll never be able to watch the replays because they're coming down tomorrow at 3 p.m. or what have you. And I want these to be available forever. So these replays are actually going to be on our YouTube channel, which currently it's called Women Action Takers channel. They're going to be available on our YouTube channel for other people to watch as well. And why do we do this? Because again, for me, by doing these books, this isn't about the Linda show. This isn't about me being a publisher or anything about like that. This is really about how can I share your story with the world? How can I help you to, help to market you? And so our mission really is to share your story with the world. So why would I take those videos down? That's my thought on it. And that's how I'm living my life. And so anyway, we're excited about that. And being able to do these summits for all of these books, the Fearless Entrepreneurs was the first one that came up with the idea to do the summit. So super excited about that. So Sally, thanks so much. Hey, look it's exactly on time. Time to boot you out. No, just kidding. Please stick around.